The Patek Philippe Caliber 89 has 33 complications and was last offered at auction with a reserve price of $11 million. The Vacheron, wish me luck, Constantin 57260 has 57 complications and is so gigantic that only the gargantuan pockets of Genko jeans could possibly carry it. This watch includes a Hebrew calendar, moon phase, and Gregorian retrograde date. It will also tell you when sunrise and sunset will happen, along with alerting you when it's Yom Kippur. But neither the Patek Philippe Caliber 89 or the Vacheron 57260, with all its complications, can do this. This complication is a metronome, which measures tempo, the speed at which a musical passage is to be played. Here, you can pick from 40 beats per minute all the way up to 304, which is impressive when you consider that Cannibal Corpse's upbeat, hammer-smashed face is played at a dainty 195 beats per minute. The watch can also emit reference tones, an A or B flat, at 440, 442, and 443 Hz, allowing you to tune an instrument by matching the tones the watch emits. Before you ask, yes, the Seiko SMW006A is indeed a quartz watch. I'm sure Patek Philippe could potentially figure out how to include this type of complication in a mechanical watch, but it would probably be the size of a regulation hockey puck and cost the same as some countries' GDP. So why fret over the watch's quartzness? Just sit back and enjoy the little dance that the hands do in preparation for tapping out your requested tempo. Another slightly unusual detail is that this watch is made by Seiko Instruments, not the division of the Seiko Group that normally makes watches. Instead, Seiko Instruments makes semiconductors, piezo print heads, and of course, this lovable weirdo of a watch. In practice, the SMW006A lies somewhere in the spectrum between novelty and usefulness. Where it lands on that spectrum depends on who you are and what you plan on doing with it. I, for example, play two instruments rather badly. I've used the watch when I practice, and it certainly works. When playing the drums, the tone of the watch is simply not loud enough to be heard, but to be fair, no normal metronome can keep up with a loud drum set. Only ones that can be heard through headphones are useful to a drummer. For those who seek the ultimate metronome performance, a watch like the Soundbrenner Pulse, which keeps time visually as well as through a vibrating pulse, is likely the ideal solution. But if you're a casual musician or simply want a watch with a unique complication, this Seiko can't be beat. Of course, this watch also tells time, though its ability to do so is somewhat hindered by the fact that both of its hands are the same length. Yes, they are slightly different in shape and one is red, but both being the same length is far from optimal. The hand with the red tip is the hour's hand, so Seiko tried to help us out, but this seems like an easy issue to have sorted out. The watch's case is adequate, though uninspired, with its buttons being labeled on the case back, an appropriate choice considering the scant real estate available on the dial side. In terms of typography and general information design, the SMW006A is, how can I put this? Well, it's a shit sandwich. Yes, the watch has to handle vast amounts of information, but the issue could have been mitigated with an ounce of rational thought. Why? For example, the word metronome is taking up valuable real estate in the outer portion of the dial, when it could have been placed in the inner portion of the dial above the 6 p.m. This would have allowed the BPM numbers to be more spread out, helping clarify one of the crucial functions of the watch. Are the tempo denominations, which are almost exclusively used in classical music, really necessary for a watch like this? If so, why are two of those denominations turned inward on the left, while only one on the right is treated that way, presumably for readability? Why on earth are 4 typefaces used when 2, and that would be including the Seiko logo, would have more than sufficed? And why is the tracking so inconsistent across these tempo denominators? Other complaints? The watch takes 18mm instead of 20mm straps. Not a huge issue, but I happen to prefer 20mm straps. though I'm aware of the fact that the 18mm strap helps make the watch somewhat more refined and dressy. Speaking of that, watch collectors will often talk about how they need to have a dress watch. Do most of them really go to that many funerals, weddings, the opera, or some work function that requires formal attire? I myself have not worn a suit in at least 8 years. As such, I suspect that watch collectors merely say that they need a dress watch in order to have the purchase approved by their significant other. But if you need or simply want a dress watch, consider this one. I know it's a stretch to call this a dress watch, but you'll be the life of the party and talk of the town as you show people the little dance that the hands do before the metronome starts up. Just imagine yourself in your fancy suit from Men's Warehouse watching Cannibal Corpse play. Imagine yourself double-checking that the band is indeed playing Hammer Smashed Face at the right tempo. Could a Patek Philippe Calatrava do that? No.